Welcome everybody to the Overwatch League. Doa here with ZP, and guess what? It's the Summer Showdown knockout matches. That's right, 2 teams out of our 2 matches will go on to the tournament. It's going to be great. ZP, we got New York versus Shanghai coming up. We finally get to cast a home team. I'm pretty hyped. How do you feel?
Yeah, this is going to be exciting because, storyline-wise, we have 2 really good dueling storylines here. Number 1, of course, is dominance of Shanghai, playing in front of a home crowd, which, of course, is awesome. But then also New York, where New York has been on a redemption tour. Kalios has added a lot to the team. And, over the weekend, we've been talking about, hey, they have a bumpy road. They have a must-win match here, and now another must-win match up against the perennial favorite. So for New York, the question is, can they find another level and get the upset where, yeah, it's unexpected, Doa, but things like this have happened in Overwatch before.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. New York's going to need to dig deep for this one for sure, but we also want you to dig deep in terms of your artistic skills. Send the, never mind, that's the other one. We're talking about skins now. It's very cool Anna skin available right now, by the way. It's 200 points. It's very much worth it. I picked it up a couple days ago because Anna's the character I play the most next to Zenyatta, so why wouldn't I pick that up, ZP? Maybe we'll get a Zenyatta skin at some point in the past, but go grab it. Let's take a look at the bracket going into our knockout matches for today. It's a bracket of 2 matches, really. The first one it's going to be New York versus Shanghai. The second one of the day, though, that'll be Avril and Achilles. It's going to be Seoul Dynasty versus the Chengdu Hunters. And that'll be an interesting one, too. I mean, I feel like a lot of people will say the one that we're going to be casting is the easy one to predict. Obviously, Dragon's a big favorite there. But what do you think about that second match? I know we're not doing it, but I want to get your thoughts on that, too, as we get started here.
I mean, it's always tough to predict. I mean, Seoul, any given day, could be, you don't know what to expect. I do think it's going to be a very different game than the last Chengdu game you and I cast.
Hold on, let's check this out for the moment, though.
Was that with a flex to far?
Yeah.
Not going to be denied this capture still. Hammond's certainly going to try with a self-destruction comes through. What in the Lord's name was that? Oh my word.
No more! Are you kidding me?
How many?
Sweep! Not gonna happen! The Shanghai Dragons champions!
Somehow Lip trying to put an end to it. 3 kills for Lip. Are you kidding me? The Shanghai Dragons have done it.
Well, there they are, ZP. The Shanghai Dragons going to get introduced right now. The home team, and I would say head and shoulders right now, the best team in the East region. They're kind of uncontested in that category. New York's going to challenge them, but, we'll see how that goes. I mean, Shanghai did look mortal yesterday in their match against the Spark. They did lose 1 map, at least. They lost Hollywood, but ZP, I don't know. It's hard to predict anyone winning this one besides Shanghai, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, and part of that, too, is that, you think about some of the trends of the weekend, right, where we talked about teams like the Fusion where, their adaptability at times, really seemed lacking. They didn't have an answer. You compare that to a team like Shanghai, and Shanghai right now, they're such a deep team that they have an answer to everything. Even if you do come out with an unexpected, unorthodox strategy against them, this is a team that has the ability to go, hey, we actually have the players and the skill to change up to anything to deal with it. So, there's no way to really, surprise Shanghai, get an easy win over Shanghai. They play everything at such a high level.
That is true. Now, New York does have some tools in their toolbox that might make it a little bit tougher for Shanghai. Let's take a look at one of those right now. A player by the name of Flora, who has been playing extremely well, I think, all season, honestly. And you talk about people that can make the difference, people that might be able to tip the scales in New York's favor. And Flora is one of those players. He's been great on the hit scan lately. Obviously, his tracer stats are very good. But besides Flora, what else do you think New York needs to do? Who else is going to be an asset for them tonight?
I think the easy 1-2 punch there. You got Flora, who's been the current star of New York all season long. And you got Kalios, who's been the rising star, who's looked very impressive this weekend. The new pickup, and people were wondering what does it take for New York to go to the next level, and this change in their tank line, Doa, might just be the ticket. I think on top of that, probably step 3 would be Guangzhou has been sort of a very streaky player thus far, where there's moments where he's absolutely ripped away control of the game. You think back to his Widow on Junkertown this weekend. Incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's also points where, Guangzhou will sort of disappear. So if you're New York, you're hoping you get Guangzhou operating at max capacity the entire series long.
Yeah, it feels like New York has peaks as a team, and we're going to introduce them now, but it feels like they have peaks as a team that can be as high as a level of what the Shanghai Dragons bring. They just haven't been as consistent getting to those peaks as the Dragons have been. But here's the New York roster going into our first map. You can see the mystery man Kalios there coming back to the Overwatch League after a stint on the Boston Uprising way back when, spent some time in contenders. He's back. He's been playing extremely well on D.Va specifically. He's been incredibly good at eating ultimates. So, yeah, New York, they have the players. I think they have the skill on this team to win a match like this. It's just a matter of putting it all together, enough maps in a row to beat a team like Shanghai. It's not going to be easy, but I don't think it's totally impossible.
No, it's not. I mean, I would say the conditions here between the two teams, you think about their overall skill cap and trends, New York has to have one of the best days they've had all season, which is possible, but like really everyone has to have an amazing day. And then on the same note, I think a path to victory for New York would also require the Dragons to have just an average day, right? To not necessarily be playing at 100% max. And if you get that sort of combination between the two teams, yeah, that's a world where New York could go for the upset. However, if New York comes in and, they're more average and Shanghai is, playing at their best, this will probably be a 3-1 to 3-0. So, that's kind of what we're dealing with now.
I'd have to agree. They're the Shanghai Dragons, obviously, on your screen right now. Did I see that right? That when they were showing Fate, it was just the word delicious behind him a bunch of times? I'm pretty sure. Delicious Fate, that's right. Well, it's the final day of the Shanghai homestand, and so they're going to give these guys a big intro, a bigger than usual one. Here comes Iziaki, their support player. What was that? Was that a volleyball or something? I'm not sure. Either way, this guy's been a great flex support. He made a splash on the scene with his Zenyatta play. People were saying heir to Jonak maybe for a little while. Definitely a player to watch. What do you think about Molly, though? This is a player that I think people are obviously familiar with at this point in the season, but was a newer addition to Shanghai.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting where it's like it feels like Shanghai has a way of getting players on their roster and just going, we're going to get the most out of you mechanically. Whether it be Molly, whether it be players like Fleta, where, Fleta, of course, very good the entire time, but, Seoul Fleta into Shanghai Fleta, it's been another level, right? So just there's something about the Shanghai org where just like, regardless of how you played before getting there, you get to Shanghai now and you play at your peak, which, by the way, we've gotten away from it, but what a turnaround for the franchise relative back to Season 1 where, it was anything but.
As someone who casted some of the old school Overwatch back in Korea, it's always fun to see Fleta take the stage. He played on a team called Flashlux way back when in OGN Apex, and that team was terrible except for Fleta. He was amazing, and so it was agonizing, but also super entertaining to watch him try to carry that team match after match and just be this like god out on the map. And, where the rest of his team wasn't really helping him. So it's great to see him having gotten to be on some good teams now. Always fun to watch.
Yep, and yeah, I mean, that's always a fun thing, right? Where you see a player at times struggling with teams that aren't doing quite as well. You go, oh, man, if only they had, the right support around them. And you look at the Dragons in their current form, and they've just put together a completely star-studded roster, one of the very best teams in the Overwatch League. And, they came into the season as a favorite, and right now, certainly the favorite to take it all in the APAC region, both for the season as a whole and certainly for this tournament. But, still got to get through New York here today.
You do. I think you do have to talk about the Shanghai Dragons on an organizational level, too, and say this is definitely probably the most improved team in the Overwatch League over the course of the Overwatch League's existence. In terms of putting together rosters, like you go back to 2018, this was not a team that was able to put together a good roster. They went 0-40 in the first season of the Overwatch League, famously. Obviously scrapped things, got something going in 2019. They started looking a little bit better in Stage 3 of the 2019 2019 tournament. And then 2020, of course, was a much better year overall. And now 2021, here in year 4, they're really starting to come into their own. It's going to be interesting. It feels like this org may be just destined to win it all at some point. Maybe 2021 is going to be that year. Maybe it's going to take a little bit longer. But they've sure come a long way as an organization in terms of making the player changes, making the coaching changes, and being able to put themselves in this position.
Yeah, they really have. Although I will say, in the back of my head, there's someone out there going, we talk about, it was 0-4. It's like, they weren't as bad as their record showed in Season 1. They really improved towards the end.
They
were. They were 0-40. They were quite bad in Season 1.
They were definitely as bad as their record.
Don't revise history.
It is. Yeah. It is what it is, as they say. But they're good now, and they are the favorites coming into this one. A lot of people would say 3-0. 3-1, I think, is what my prediction is going to be for this particular one. I do think New York is going to be able to find some map to take. And, we're not the 3-0 casters anymore. We were talking about this. We were the 3-0 casters a lot this year, right? Like all 3-0s. But this stage in the Summer Showdown, it's been 3-2s, it's been 3-1s. We've gotten some actual good matches.
Yeah, we really have. Now, hopefully saying that doesn't jinx it to where all of a sudden we don't get a good match. But, yeah, I mean, I think 3-1 is a reasonable prediction. I think if you had to force me to do a pred, and now I've just forced myself, I would say 3-1 Shanghai in all likelihood.
All right.
But,
okay.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, it is played on land also where things get a little bit variable. I mean, who knows what New York is going to show up today. I think, again, on paper, Shanghai has a pretty clear edge. But when you get down to individual matchups and teams starting to gel together, we'll just have to see.
Yep, that's right. And time to get into our first map of the day. Of course, as always, we're going to start with the control map. The fans getting hyped in the stands. I have no idea what that says. I can read the one on the right. That's cheering for some of the Korean players. Well, for Lip specifically, obviously, but that's his name in the top line. But it reminds me, looking at the Chinese fans' signs, it reminds me of when I first got to Korea, and I had no idea what any of the fans' signs said, and then over time I started to be able to kind of read it. Let's go to Ilios. Let's stop reminiscing, ZP. Let's go to Ilios. Old man Doa needs some Overwatch to cast. It's going to be our control map, and it's going to be an interesting one. I'm curious to see what we're going to have picked by each of these teams.
Yeah, especially not teams of solid to rhythm, but even then, you still see teams changing up what they'll run in terms of support lines in particular. Where we've seen Jonak, depending on the pressure he's facing, go Ana, go Zen. Izayaki looks at it, can be comfortable on the Zen. So already, bit of a difference between the two teams.
Yep. Feint running out there, Lip on the Sombra significantly. Guangzhou on that McCree, and he has played very well in the McCree.
I think the key here,
not a bad choice.
We talked about keys to victory. Yakpung has to respect the Sombra and cannot get picked up. That was a big weakness for New York this entire week. Is Yakpung just getting caught? New York first on the point.
First on the point, but can they hold it? I think you hit the nail on the head as far as keeping Yakpung alive. But no, it's going to be Kalios that falls first. New York losing one early. Oh, no. And Shanghai Dragons is going to be able to flip this almost instantly.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at how that's set up. New York had a little bit of an edge in just staying on point because McCree is just a little bit more outwardly powerful than Sombra. Lip able to find a good entry, though, and Shanghai picks the right time, heads on in, and already in control. Yeah.
Yeah, and you brought up Yakpung earlier, and he did have a habit of getting a little bit separated from the rest of the team, getting caught out a little bit too far forward. And, I'm sure some of that is personal responsibility. Some of that might be calls from the team that he's following up on. But either way, they need to make sure that doesn't happen. Fake slam coming in from Feint, though.
Yakpung in danger, just barely able to go away. No, the turn! Far and Flutter both strike at the same time. Pulse bombs going off on both sides. Shanghai, though, a little bit ahead. Izayaki used the Transcendence to keep the rest of the team alive. But at the very least for New York, the Transcendence is off the board. And the next fight, though, it's going to look a lot better.
Yeah, I think that fight was all Izayaki right there. I mean, he knew he was going to lose at least one person from the Pulse Bomb, but at the same time, if anyone else is still alive with even one hit point remaining, that Transcendence is going to get him back up to full in a hurry. So good to pop that there. Save himself as well in the process and just make sure they can maintain the point.
So now for New York here, the key is they need the lead with the Nano and the rally prior to the EMP coming out. Lip, meanwhile, going to look set it. Oh, Lip's forced out pretty early here. This is where New York, they've used the rally. They need to make the most of this opportunity here. Lip's not in the fight. The rally is up. They're trying to pressure Void, but Void most part, just trying to get out of it. Now Lip drops the EMP. Hits not really too much. Friday, main victim there. And now Dragons, 6-on-5, moving up. Rally, just about faded.
wow.
But that is enough, Doa. New York is forced out.
More than enough. That was very one-sided. In fact, that was perfect. That was a perfect team kill. Flora died very early on, so he's already back up. But, yeah, that EMP didn't hit a lot of people, but crucially it did hit the Tracer, who was just stranded on the point. And now Lip lurking behind already. He could get an easy hack on this Brigitte. Looks like he will do just that with Friday. That's going to cause him to turn.
Oh,
kill on a Friday. He couldn't get out. He couldn't get the shield up because he was hacked, I think. No, that doesn't make any sense. Forget what I just said. Guangzhou down as well. Shanghai looks like they're ready to close this one out.
Yeah, New York desperately trying to head over, keep the North on. Okay, Callius was able to break the plane. Just barely got in. Actually got healed up a little bit, somehow alive, but not for long.
Nope.
Jonak was in there with them, but pretty big numerical disadvantage there. Shanghai decisively takes round 1.
Yeah, and a lot of that really seems to come from Lip's ability to just harass the backlines a little bit. And you notice New York opted to not run the Sombra. They went for the McCree instead. And you know, if you hit your shots, if you're able to get some good flashbangs when the Wrecking Ball becomes aggressive, that can pay off. But in this case, specifically on a point like Ruins on Ilios, I think that's kind of Sombra's playground, and Lip did a great job utilizing that.
Well, I'm really glad you brought up the McCree note too, because overall for New York, I mean, Yakpung at the very least did do a good job of avoiding getting picked off first, but it was a very quiet game for Guangzhou at the same time. Shanghai was getting good engages. They weren't giving him a lot of good sightlines opportunities, and if you're going to run a McCree in that sort of situation, the McCree has to have a good mechanical performance or you're just not going to win the round.
Pretty much. Symmetrical approaches to the point right now. Asymmetrical team compositions, though. Fleta on the Echo this time around, trying to do a little bit more damage from the air. Lighthouse does lend itself well to that. They get Guangzhou early. Izayaki with the finishing blow there. That is a great start already for the Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, I like the comp New York came out with. I think they realized the Echo was a pretty strong likelihood. Okay, Lip gets caught by Jonak, but New York's just going to get staggered here. So New York came out with a decent comp to what Shanghai's running, but Guangzhou just got caught super early, and at that point, nothing Fleta had to worry about, and not a lot of offensive power behind New York.
Yep. Not a lot at the moment. I believe it was only Jonak that picked up a kill in that last fight. And, you know, crucially, in that last round and in that first fight on this round, Kalios has been shut down hard. Yakpung down already. How many times, ZP, are we going to see Yakpung die in the early stages of a fight?
You know, that was really the first major one today, but still not great. It's a continuance of a trend that we've been seeing all weekend long, and Shanghai's just so aggressive. If you're even out of position for a second, they're going to find you, they're going to catch you, and they're going to take you out. At New York, not only they lose the first pick on the Yakpung, but look at how deep Shanghai goes and how long they stay.
Right? Oh, no.
Oh, look at this.
Jonak gets out. Close call.
A little bit of disrespect from Shanghai. Kalios gets caught by Void's bomb. And Shanghai, they're just confident playing this in New York's face, and New York thus far can barely leave their spot.
It's so impressive watching the Shanghai Dragons right now. I mean, they got that lead early, and now they know. Now they know they're in New York's head. They can be this aggressive. They can just be the door in front of the spawn point that you just can't break through. And New York's got to be frustrated. When you get your opponents frustrated, you've won, you know?
Oh, speaking of frustration, this is going to be the frustration transcendence coming in here. It's like, we're stuck in spawn. We need to get the points. Jonak, as Shanghai comes into pressure, Jonak's going to use his transcendence. Yakpung's already dead. He can't even transcend for that. He got evaporated. Now Izayaki was a little bit far forward, got caught. There's a chance. There it is. Jonak has to transcend here, Doa. It's so early, and they use rally because the round is almost over. Unbelievable.
I mean, you got to do it.
Force all this out.
You got to get to the point. Oh, nice stun. Fleta, though, doesn't get the... Oh, my goodness. Guangzhou gets one onto Fleta as well, so New York has a chance here. They do flip it. And that was a big pick on Izayaki. They got him when his Transcendence was up, and that was the go button, right? We saw the Transcendence in return from Jonak to kind of allow the team to be a battering ram and push forward, and that worked.
It worked, but I mean, if you're Shanghai, you're going, all right, mission accomplished there, because you wanted New York to use a bunch of key ults, in this case key support ults, to go through, and all the Dragons have to do is win one fight out of the next 3 or 4, and they're going to have a big advantage for at least one. And now, on the engage, they're looking for Flora. Guangzhou, low, Lip gets the hack. Looking for Yakpung. A lot of members of New York under assault right now. Shanghai pretty healthy. Void who's under attack.
Shanghai's just taking it. Wait, what? Wow, Shanghai just walks in and grabs a point. Yeah, they didn't contest it. Kalios gets in late, but that's it. He pops the self-destruct, but it's not going to really matter. Flora does get the kill on the Izayaki, but I think they're going to need a little bit more than that. OT ticking down. Flora with 2. Flora and Jonak trying to be heroes here. I don't know if it's going to be enough.
It almost reminds me of the end of the last round to a degree, but it's Flora that's just darting to and fro, bringing back what should have been a lost team fight back into the brink. Jonak and Flora.
That was Jonak with a 4K.
All right, well, we talked about New York needing to have key moments, needing to have players play their best, and I think Jonak and Flora took that advice.
Yeah, that was just Jonak putting on the carry pants there. He got a little bit of help from his DPS, but man, that was an impressive fight from NYXL. And we talked about this, right? The individual skill level, the peak is very high on this team. It's just a matter of making it happen consistently, and that has not been the case this weekend. Flora down already early in this fight, though. That's not what you want to see.
Yeah, that was so sort of like, I'm getting EMP. We're not going to deal with the Tracer. Jonak, Transcendence on to the point. New York at 5. Friday, they'll take down the counterpart. Transcendence getting some power. Rally coming in from New York. Yakpung, though, focus down one more time. New York, though, still the ability to bring this back. Fleta taken down, and New York gets the flip back.
This round is ridiculous, CB. I mean, twice now Shanghai have just walked up in New York's faces and taken the point back without the fight even really being done. And now twice New York has been able to win this really scrappy point to keep the round going. And I don't know who's going to win this round, but this one's gotten a little bit crazy at the end here.
So Flora has to get a pick onto the supports. It's the only way here. Izayaki and Lee Jae-gon can just brute force this. They're going to come with the rally. The Transcendence in reserve. Fleta finds Kalios, and it's just Shanghai powering through New York. And then you can't fight against 2 support ults like this unless you have a miracle play, and it did not happen.
Yeah, Void says it's high no to Guangzhou, and that's going to be about it. Percentage ticking away. The Shanghai Dragons will take Ilios. New York making him work for it a little bit on that second round, but pretty one-sided overall. That's right. Stay hydrated. Might not be the longest match, but we'll see. That says Izayaki is the best on the left there. Yeah, lots of Izayaki fans, EJ Goon fans there.
Yep.
And don't need me to translate that one for you. He likes Lip.
Yep. Well, there you go. This is fun. Where I'm looking at this, and you have extra insight a little bit. But yeah, all in all, Shanghai looking very, very strong. Heavy pressure. New York a few bright spots, but they're still gonna have to find that extra level, Doa, if they want to turn this one around.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, a lot of people saying New York, the underdog, certainly looks like that coming out of map number 1, but we've got at least 2 more to go. Don't go anywhere, guys. The Overwatch League will return in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, everybody. Right now, it is a knockout match between the Shanghai Dragons and the NYXL. And right now, the Shanghai Dragons are ahead 1-0. They got the win on Ilios ZP, and a lot of that feels like it comes down to Yakpunk showing up first on the kill feed, but as the person who is being killed, unfortunately.
Oh, man. We saw a replay there. I don't think it showed on broadcast, but it was one of those things where a highlight reel was being created. And so what happened was that Yakpug in the hot tub room on Ilios got caught where Fate was chasing him. Fate was on one end, and then Yakpug tried to roll away, and Fleta comes in and body blocks Yakpug, and he gets sealed in a tiny area of the hot tub room and just taken down early. I mean, on one hand, incredible play from Shanghai. On the other hand, it's like, I don't know if a ball should be getting stuck in those areas. It's brutal.
Yeah, it did look brutal. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, we were talking about this during the break too, as we often do. We talk about the matches we just saw while we're waiting for the next one to start, and we talked a lot about Yakpong, right? Where it's hard sometimes to figure out how much responsibility he has for being killed so often. Like, because you need your Wrecking Ball to be a bit of a scout, right? You need the Wrecking Ball to be out there gaining information. So is it that he is choosing to go into places like that hot tub room on Lighthouse where it's easy to get pinched and like get trapped, or is it calls from the team telling him to be in a certain place and then that ends up not working out well? I feel like either way he's going to need a little bit more support from his team, or he's going to just need to be a bit more careful about how far forward he goes, because teams have identified this. We've been seeing it all week, right? Yakpung has been picked on, and it seemed to look kind of easy.
Yeah, and I think at times, it's not necessarily equivalent with him versus the other main tank, because a lot of the times New York won't run a Sombra and the other team will do things like run a Sombra, which of course true. Exponentially raises the difficulty to play Wrecking Ball, right? Because you have to be very aware of where the Sombra is, because if you get hacked in a bad spot, you're just going to die. But there's also elements where just teams will turn on Yakpung and just eliminate him early. I think the other factor that's a little bit troublesome for New York right now is that we talk about areas of weakness that are being picked on, but also Shanghai is picking on areas of strength where Flora is just getting unfairly focused, where I think he got solo EMP'd like twice in that last round. And if there's any element of a coaching staff just going, you know what, this guy's the problem, get him, take this guy out. What more can you say there? It's like Shanghai goes, at some point you have to think that their game plan, on one hand, focus Yakpung, on the other hand, don't let Flora make big plays. And so far, they've been doing both.
I think you're totally right. I think Shanghai has come into this with a very good game plan, both in terms of taking advantage of the things that we already knew about, taking advantage of Yakpung being too far forward sometimes, and also identifying the threats. We talked about this in the pregame, right? That Flora was going to be one of New York's greatest assets. Well, we're not the only ones that thought about that. Shanghai obviously knows it too, and I think he's worth the solo EMP. We saw that one fight on Lighthouse where Flora and Jonak kind of single-handedly or double-handedly, I guess you could say, brought back a lost fight. So that right there proves that New York has some big threats. But if you can focus them, if you can eliminate them, you can beat New York pretty easily, because it doesn't seem like they have a lot of support for those pieces, right? So we'll see how Volskaya goes. Going into our assault map now, it's going to be Shanghai on the attack first, so New York gets to show us the defense, and they are running the Sombra this time, Feather in.
Yeah, Feather in, Guangboon out, and this will allow... Yeah, I mean, it's a swap that New York does a lot, and, it takes off the pressure on Guangboon, who's getting focused to a degree also, and, the question is, though, how will Feather compare to Lip on the Sombra, where, Feather's been kind of hit and miss. But Shanghai, they're not wasting a lot of time, though. They're pretty aggressively heading in, not necessarily even waiting for Lip to find opportunity. They're just poking, prodding, going, we're going to find something to take out, and already you see folks who are on Yakpung, but it's Lip who just beams down Flora. Oh, boy.
Yep. Bowling for Tracers, apparently. Did not see him coming.
Nope.
And is this just point A? Like, New York has to contest this. Kalios goes in, but he's a bit on his own. Gets to the health pack room but he can't stay alive. Wow. Shanghai putting on a clinic here.
I mean, the only upside for New York, at the end of this fight where, yeah, they lost point A super quickly. Jonak, he's going to respawn quickly off that, very close to a nano. So, you know, if Jonak can get nano, they can deal with this next fight off a decent engage. But Shanghai, they don't really want to give them any time at all to it. They're already heading in.
They're going for the speed run, ZP. They know they're in New York's head right now. They're going to keep pushing. Lib coming around the side. That's going to distract the Wrecking Ball. He's going to be able to get to safety. Look at this one tick already. Nearly taken here. Yakpung out there. They got to keep him alive. Jonak's got the nano boost.
Pulse Bomb stick!
Oh, Friday's down.
Friday out of the fight. Fleta good to go. Rolling on over. Sees Kalios wounded in the back. 50 HP. And guess what? Fleta's going to keep going back. Okay. This time checked a little bit by Feather. Shanghai being real methodical. They're not going to waste too much time. They're going to heal up. They're heading back in. Fate under focus fire. EMP dropped. Izayaki finds Kalios after the EMP. Counter EMP by Feather. Hits several. Flora able to take down Izayaki. And again, it's Flora and Jonak showing up for New York. But is it going to be enough? Yakpung is down. And the Shanghai pressure still on. Nearly 2 ticks as Void lets the bomb loose.
I mean, I think that was a great bomb from Void, right? It gave them more percentage on the point. Fake hits Flora now, and it gave the team a little bit of a time to regroup. Gave the Dragons time to get back in there, and they take it.
Oh,
New
boy.
York steps off for a moment. Oh, my goodness, CP. You can't do that.
You think about the last New York series we casted, and New York's point presence was really good. It was a big reason why they were able to win that series, and I tell you, I think Shanghai's just fear effect that's going on here is getting New York out of their comfort zone. They're not staying on the point the way they normally do. We saw, flashes of that back at Ilios, and we see it here again where they certainly could have delayed this a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah, they both, look at that, Friday and Kalios just both step up. They get knocked back a little bit by Fate, and they were so close. That's all it took. That feels bad, man. I mean, 450 in the time bank for Shanghai. That ended up being probably one of the quickest ones we've seen in a long time. Have to see if we can get the info on if that was in the top 5, top 10 possibly, because that was fast.
Yeah. Also, you know, I think it's one of those times where remember the intro. When you see not just Fate, but Delicious Fate rolling at you, sometimes you got to roll out of the way, and sometimes you bring yourself right off the point because no one wants a piece of Delicious Fate.
No, you don't.
Well,
Delicious Fate lurking. Getting ready here.
It's so dumb that it's entertaining to me. Oh, boy.
I'm pretty sure. I got to go back and watch that intro, but I'm 99% sure that it said delicious behind Fate. let me know on Twitter or something if that's right or not.
I suppose we'll see.
I gotta know.
New York. You know, this is you got to go forward one step at a time, you know. Take that bite of the apple one at a time for New York, because they have a long way to go, and they have to just activate that brain Baby Bay was talking about. Just,
there you go. Yeah, I got to bring the goldfish brain in and forget about that last round, but you can see a little bit of
That's a huge
from New York. Yeah, it is. New York going around the side here. Taking the classic approach. And I'm surprised to see Kalios on the Zarya as much as we've been seeing him play today. It's been the D.Va that's been the standout. And Jonak down already. Oh, no.
That was just a good rotation. Look at Fate! Fate, the escape artist! Full Houdini, just down to no HP, rolls away as Shanghai just rotated into the New York backline. Shanghai just playing on another level right now.
Delicious Fate. He's unstoppable. 2:55 in the time bank. New York still have plenty of time to take point A, but they know that they're on a more tight clock than usual because Shanghai's got so much time that even if New York do manage to take both points here on Volskaya, it's still going to be an uphill battle to try to win the map.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem New York finds themselves in. It's just like, even if everything goes well, they're still behind. No.
But the
paratrooper, he's locked and loaded and ready to go. Here it comes. Oh, he gets stunned! And the bomb still came out, though. The bomb wasn't canceled. That was nearly perfect, but the bomb still does its duty. Oh, man. New York?
Yep.
Getting some pickups here. This is something they can grow out of. This is not necessarily over. Respawns are going to be coming in soon.
Yep. And, I mean, that pulse bomb could have been a lot worse than it ended up being, right? So, New York, you know, maybe they can push forward here. It's obviously not going to take Fleta long to be back in action again. He goes back right now. Lip. Yeah, I was going to say Lip with the MP.
It's 3. Yakpung this time able to stay alive. Time filled up. New York able to shrug off the EMP. The EMP, I think, was a little bit preemptive. Fate heading to the back. Oh, this could have been big. Wait, waits for it. Yakpung already down. And Fate held off on the mine, so as the bomb from Void comes in. 2 from Shanghai down.
Here it is.
Fate goes back in, and it's
New York,
too little too late.
Oh, great minefield, though, from Fate. It's going to prevent New York from getting on there quite as easily. Fate even picks up the kill on a Friday as well. And New York might
has
be able to
no
claim point A off of this, but all the little delays, those add up a lot when you're so far down in the time bank.
Yeah, I mean, New York just had too many alive. Fate was a little bit late coming to the fight where I thought he was going to go for the engage before, but something got called.
He missed his angle just a little bit, it seemed like, or either that or he decided it wasn't the time. But while Shanghai's recontesting here.
They're hanging back in. They're going to force Deadeye out. Flora goes for it. Izayaki uses Transcendence. Shanghai says, we give up nothing for free. We will invest everything on point A because we think we can hold it. Fate to the back. Flutta finds Feather. Shanghai.
They might be able to.
They lose Izayaki, but this is now 5-on-5. Extremely winnable. Flutta to the back. Healthy. Good to go. Pulse Bomb on deck. Lee Jae-gon finds Yakpung. It is so back and forth right now. 45 seconds left to go. Kalios over. Charged up. Beaming over. And New York grits their way through point A.
Yeah, that was just brute force from New York to win that fight. Shanghai made them pay for it, though. Another, at least 30 seconds taken off the time bank to do that. Kalios charged up, nearly has his ultimate. He's going to get it very soon. Now there's another EMP. Hits 2 people on New York, though. Might need a bit more than that. Jonak down first. Yeah, they're going
3 are down.
Off of this.
Lip needs to chill on these EMPs, though. His last EMPs have just backfired on the Dragons. Just way too aggro when the fall-through is not ready to go. And you know what? New York just says, we'll take that gift. Graviton right for Kalios. Might just use it here on Fate to keep him off. He finds it at the right time. It's a tough decision to make. And, goes for it. And instead, it's just going to get Flutta. Still not bad. Fate, though, able to dodge it. Yakpung drops the mine. Shanghai's starting to get some picks here, though, at this point. Not over just yet. Nano boost out onto Feather. Gets lipped. Nano Tracer still needs to get a little bit more as respawns from Shanghai. Flood onto the point.
All right, no one caught by that self-destruct yet. So Feather's still on the point for now, but no. Shanghai able to swap it back. Izayaki with the switch over to the Baptiste. I think that was really smart to be able to use the Immortality field, to keep your short-handed team alive, give more respawns time to come in. Good little adaptations by Shanghai to take this point and hold this point, rather.
Everything can be
what was that?
Here's the tragic thing for New York. Normally on Volskaya, 2 minutes left, 85.5%. You're feeling pretty good. You're like, okay, this is winnable. But then you look at the time bank Shanghai has, and you go, oh, this is awful. New York, remember, they have to finish with at least some time remaining on the clock, so this is their last push to make this winnable and not draw them, essentially.
Pretty much. New York, they only really have the Pulse Bomb available. Now Kalios decides to go in.
Wait, they're on the point right now. They're on the point. Shanghai had to draw back. They nearly ninja'd that right out from under them. Flutta goes down. I think that's why. I think Flutta went back to try and see what was going on there. New York, Feather takes out Lee Jae-gon. Or on the Fate. They might almost have this, Noah. The sneaky presence where they prioritize the point got Shanghai completely discombobulated.
Yeah, that was a good last push from New York, and that time Yakpung was exactly where he needed to be. New York do manage to get both points, and crucially, stay above 1 minute, 1:20 in the time bank for them. So, like I said earlier, it's still going to be a pretty huge mountain to climb to win this map, but at least you're in the running now.
Yeah. There's a chance. It's not a good chance.
And there's a chance. Yeah.
All right, so... I mean, the one thing I'll note here, though, is that Shanghai was playing really well the entire time, but the 2 just absolutely glaring points of error from Shanghai. Lips EMPs, EMP1 and EMP2. They came out early when the fall-through was not ready, and that EMP attempt on point B, something that should have been a source of strength, though, was just a complete Uno reverse card.
By the way, Avril confirming for us that it does indeed say delicious behind Fate, but it's delicious with a question mark. So, delicious?
So we're
Fate?
not sure of the status of
delicious.
Yeah.
Well,
when he plays well, I don't know. it's an evolving thing.
It is. Yeah, we'll figure this one out as we go along. It's a mystery for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, defense again for Shanghai. New York on the attack because they've got less time in the time bank. We'll see what they can do with a minute 20.
3, 2, 1.
Yep, and again for them, they just have to be quick. They really don't have time to go for long rotations, similar to what they did the first time around. They have to hope to get a quick pickoff and just bring the pressure to Shanghai, because with a minute left, that's all you can do, Doa.
Yeah. That's right. Lip looking for the hack in the back line, does get the hack onto Feather. Yakpung has the Discord orb on him too, and Feather goes down early. Fleta capitalizing on the hack from Lip.
Where did Fleta come from? The coordination on that. Fleta just happened to be over there and goes, oh, there's a hack. I'll take down the Sombra. Unreal tag team from the DPS of the Shanghai Dragons. And New York, they're going to get flushed out here. They'll get one more attempt, and not a lot of time for it.
Yeah. All right, that was pretty clean. Now, they did lose Void's mech in the end, so that's going to be possibly a little opening, and you see everyone on Shanghai running forward now, especially Lip, just to try to harass. You know, whatever they can do to give Void more time to get his mech back right now is pretty big.
Yeah, and also for New York, the worst way to go out here would be Void hiding in a corner and just killing like 2 people with call mech. Don't make that reality. I know I sort of summed it into existence, but still. You know,
I want that reality, CP. That sounds like a very entertaining reality. Here we go.
Flora has the bomb. Yakpung! He's so far ahead of his team. They had time. That was an unrelenting feed, and now it's 5v6. Flora, can you be the hero one more time? Lip got hacked early on. Can't drop the imperial hack. It's a really nice hack by Feather. Pulse bomb from Flora. Over and in. No, does not connect as DJ Gone takes down the support line of New York, and this is just about over.
The support ultimates were big there. Or rather, Izuyaki's Transcendence, and then EJ Gong had the rally out to protect them from the Pulse Bomb, and Shanghai Dragons with a pretty big hold there. New York not getting a lot of progress, 0% capture progress on that point, and that's going to make it easy for Shanghai to win this one.
I wish I could go to a telestrator right now and just look at that file point there, just, you know, draw the lines of separation between where most of New York was and where Yakpung was when Yakpung died, because that was not the, and you could go, well, maybe the rest of the team should have been in on him at the same time. Sure, I mean, we don't know what the call was at the time, but the point is there was a disconnect there. They still had about like 4 seconds left when that happened too, so it's not like, it wasn't a situation where I guess I have to touch a point. It was off from New York, and now Doa, they must hold for 4 minutes and 50 seconds, which would probably be the longest hold on point A in Overwatch League history.
It really might be. Yeah, I think I can't think of any that long. Yeah. Seriously.
Hello.
All right. Well, we'll see what they can do, but as the Magic 8 Ball often says, outlook not so good.
You have an interesting Magic 8 Ball. I don't think I've ever seen one say that before.
Oh, yeah.
Mine always says answer unclear, try again.
Yeah.
All right, Lip. Okay, I was wondering if maybe he'd be doing a bit of a switch. Just wanted. Right there, okay. Hanging out by the health pack. He's going to run in and see what he can get. They were checking for him. You can see. Dodged a shot so far, though. And will the pressure begin?
Oh, the pressure is beginning. The hack coming out onto Flora. Flora able to get to a safer spot, does not get picked off as a result. That Lip heads on out. Void finds Feather already. Yeah, it's 6 on 5 already. And all they have to do is build ultimates, or they just win in the neutral game. 3 already down. That's going to be Volskaya done and over. Shanghai.
Yep, that is it.
2-0.
And that was just a masterful job by Lip, first of all, to put some pressure on the point, pull the defensive line for Shanghai back, kind of open the door for the rest of the team to come in. And like you said, then it was just an easy win in the neutral. Didn't even have to fight on the point, and that's 2-0 for Shanghai so far.
Yeah, and I mean, what more you could say when you look at this matchup thus far? It's a difference of just team cohesion. It's a difference of mechanical skill. Pick your category of Overwatch. Shanghai is playing better than New York right now. Plain and simple.
Yep, I mean, they really are. New York, you know, those bright spots have been dimmed significantly, I would say, in this series so far. It's all Shanghai Dragons. New York has one more map to try to get it all together. Otherwise, this is going to be a quick 3-0. We'll see. Maybe the Kings of 3-0s are back. Now, I don't know. I hope not. I hope we get a longer one. We'll find out, though. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League action coming at you right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Hey, we're back here at the Overwatch League. Doa and ZP here with you right now, watching the Shanghai Dragons really kind of destroy New York Excelsior. Unfortunately, it has not been a close match at all. And New York, you know, we talked about it coming into this. There are bright spots. They do have this high ceiling, I think, but Shanghai just has put on a clinic as far as how to shut this team down.
They have, and I mean, between the two teams, for the DPS side, it's actually been fairly close today. The part where it's like been particularly glaring is it's been the tank line, particularly the Fate versus Yakpung matchup, where Fate has been a master of disappearing, a master of impossible escapes. He's getting thrown into the water tank with handcuffs and somehow coming out not drowned, right? And Yakpung is just throwing him. He's taking belly flops into the YMCA pool and throwing out his back. It's a very big difference in skill right now between the main tank setups. Yeah, well, I spent some time at a YMCA in my day,
Okay. I hope your back is feeling better. But it's I assume this was you and not something that you witnessed, but I don't know.
Totally.
Ouch.
You've seen me at a water
Painful.
park before. You know how ungraceful that can be.
That's true. That's true. We have been to a water park together. It was a good time.
Yep.
Well, the fans in the arena, people are happy about being on LAN. I'm assuming that's what that sign is about. I have no idea, but it said LAN. Look at that. It's packed. I love it. I can't wait. I hope I get to be in person for some live Overwatch again at some point in the future here.
Yeah,
but I think the Shanghai Dragons are having a good time. Yeah.
Oh, they're definitely having a good time. I mean, if anything, right now they're going, come on, fight us back a little bit harder. But either way, they are just set to have what could be a very quick day unless New York is able to make some drastic changes to their game plan and particularly clean up their initiations, clean up them getting first picked as often as they are. I mean, the neutral game from the Dragons has been so much better at setting up favorable fights, at setting up fights that are won before they even begin, that it's hard for New York to even fight on even grounds right now.
Yeah, it's true. I'm surprised. I came into today saying to myself that we could see a 3-0, but I didn't think that if we did end up seeing a 3-0, it would be such a one-sided 3-0. I thought it'd be a little bit of a closer one where Shanghai just edged them out in the end, was just a little bit better of a team. But this has been, frankly, one-sided between Shanghai and New York right now. And it kind of comes down to what you're talking about. It is the differences in the tank line, but it's also the way that Shanghai has been shutting down the damage dealers on New York, because that's where the strength really lies, right? Where you look at players like Flora and how good he's looked lately. You also look at players like outside of that, the Kalios, the off-tank, right? Coming in, being very strong in the Diva, but not really getting a lot done today on the Zarya. So I wonder about that too a little bit, ZP. If we maybe see Kalios get to spend a bit more time on the Diva, if we maybe see better results too, it's tough to say, but New York's got to make some sort of change.
Yeah, I mean, this is where if they have anything reserved, if they have anything, even if they're only like 25% sure on it, what do you have to lose? You have to win 3 maps in a row anyways. Clearly what you've practiced isn't working. It's time to go for the Hail Mary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think you got to pull out all the stops. You got to go for something a little bit crazy maybe, like wearing your sunglasses indoors at a venue. Maybe everybody's celebrating Void right now. He winked at the camera. I saw that. I saw that, Void.
Yeah, well, good reason to wink. Having a good time right now, I suppose.
Saucy. All right, well, let's get ready for the next map. It's going to be Kings Row. This is going to be the hybrid map. I think it is worth bringing up that hybrid is the map type that Shanghai lost in their last series when they played the Spark yesterday. But, different team, different map. It's anecdotal at best as far as it actually impacting this series.
Yeah, I mean, for the Dragons, the question is that, they're so far ahead. Mentally, do they just, keep themselves focused? Because, you sort of have we talk a lot about teams, getting down on themselves, going, how are they going to come back from it? But there's also at times a reverse effect where if you're winning super hard, sometimes good teams will let off the gas a little bit. And, that creates an opening for the other team to get back into the series. Yeah. But thus far, it has been very one-sided, though. We'll see, again, if New York is able to make any of those key adjustments. You talked about off-tank choices, and Kalios does appear to be showing Diva.
Okay. I mean, you can run a little bit easier on this map as well because you're going to be trying to dislodge your the defending players from the high ground sometimes, or you're going to be trying to protect your own high ground, as is going to be the case for New York. They're starting on defense here. But I just think, in general, Kalios looked way better on the Diva than he did on the Zarya. I don't think his Zarya was bad, but I think his Diva is what really stood out. So we'll see if it works out better for him. Hammond getting a little bit of cardio in before the match starts. And we'll see if Delicious Fate can lead his team to a 3-0 here.
It's definitely been that sort of day. Fate has been looking very good all day. Definitely, I think, the biggest difference in head-to-head. Look now, though. On
nice shot.
The
Ash. Oh, my gosh. Lip is so good.
Under pressure by Jonak, though. Again, Yakpug, just the focus fire immediately. Shanghai knows who they want to go after. They go after Yakpug in the front line, and then they disproportionately go after Flora, if not Yakpug. Yeah. Under a little bit of pressure. Fleta diving in the enemy lines fearlessly. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, why not? And already Shanghai putting some pressure on there. You can see they move their tanks forward while their DPS gets some good high ground angles protected by the supports. I really, really like that. because it makes it hard, right? Because you step onto the point to try to handle the tanks, you're suddenly getting fired at from a bunch of angles, you turn your back, and the tanks are running into you. So it's just a really good kind of methodical way to approach the point right now. That said, it's cool that they haven't gotten a tick yet, so at some point, you got to commit a little bit more.
Yeah, New York's been playing sidelines really well. They haven't been giving up too much. Yakpung has been our focus fire the times. And Feather gets caught. Li Jaegon finds him on the side. Stick for Fleta! Finds Jonakin. That's going to be enough to break this open unless Flora just gets 2 or 3 pickoffs. And that's not happening because he's dead.
Yeah, Li Jaegon getting bloodthirsty there with 2 kills on the Brigitte. And you know what? It's going to be a point A take for the Shanghai Dragons. And, you know, I'll go back to their approach. It was good. It was methodical. Once they had everyone in position, they were able to jump onto the point and capitalize on that first pick. That's really clean Overwatch that we're just seeing from the Shanghai Dragons right now.
Yeah, and also, I mean, in terms of strategy, you know, we talk about Yakpung getting caught. A lot of it, though, is because the Dragons are just playing such enormous pressure where, you know, he can't show his head without getting Discord on him. And just, he almost can't play main tank the way he'd want to play because any engagement is just overwhelming focus fire. But he got Flora now, though. Deadeye up.
Yeah.
And he's zoning Shanghai back just a little bit. Although, he's still got 2 people in the archway pushing the payload. New York looking for the way in. Not a lot ult-wise. We just have to go in and hope for a quick neutral pick-off. They almost got it. Flora finds Flip. That's a good start.
Yep, Friday down, though. There goes Flora, so Shanghai striking back immediately, and they're like, all right, well, you take one of ours, we're going to take 6 of yours.
It's a good ratio for Shanghai fans there. Very efficient.
I think they'd be happy with that.
By the way, I really respect that for Void.
Onto the Zarya as well, so opting for the double bubble after the Diva didn't work out, too. Interesting.
I really respect what Void did there, which was to immediately get back and not go for like some fancy showboat play. I think objectively that's the better way to go about things, unless you're super far behind.
Yeah, 100%. Izzyaki with a big pick onto Flora there. That's just annoying to deal with. I mean, the payload's not even to the end of B, and you're already losing people like that. There goes
Jonak gets
Jonak
caught.
as well. Yeah.
Also, can we talk about the disrespect of that bomb? Shanghai's nowhere near there, and Lip just goes, go forth, Bob, do something, while everyone else is nowhere nearby.
It's a classic zoning ultimate, right? Oh, Delicious Fate slams in. Izzyaki, though, finds a headshot onto Kalios. Chasing down the Winston as well. Izzyaki getting bloodthirsty as well. This is what we love to see with this guy. This is why they picked him up.
He's just living, Noah. He's just living, well protected, being his own protection at points.
3.
Gets another. He's just got to walk over. No fear left in this Dragons team, if there ever was at all.
Wow. I mean, what can you say? It's again, one-sided for the Shanghai Dragons. New York putting up a pretty meager defense so far. Kalios, you just cannot get picked like this. You know, this is different, too. This is not the same level of performance that we're seeing out of Kalios today that we saw earlier in the week. It's a big step down, unfortunately.
Oh, I think part of it, though, is because Yakpung's been pressured so hard that, like, all confidence from the New York tank line, it is gone. The focus fire onto the front line from the Dragons has just shattered the New York front line anytime they show themselves. And look at this, Yakpung in a bad spot. The lead puts him in a rough spot. And look at his HP. Focus down in the corner. Goes down the Fate, who does not let him off the hook. And
Lip. Bob's in the house, too. So this could be the beginning of the end of this round here. 326. 325 in the time bank. A blistering fast Kings Row attack. And New York's all but done. It's going to take a miracle for them to win this map. It's going to take an even bigger one to win this series. Shanghai saying, you know what? We've been here all week. We've been here for 3 days now. We just want to go back to the hotels early tonight. We just want to go party after a successful weekend.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, look at this entire team. It's a combination that, on a mechanical level, the tank play from Dragons has been better, but also the Dragons as a team have been way better at enabling their main tanks. We've seen better focus fire onto the New York side. The supports have done an even better job keeping them alive, where at the times where you see like Fade or Void get low, they still don't die. They just get away. So it's just all things combined. When you have this level of presence difference, Shanghai can be aggro in areas that you wouldn't expect, and New York ends up playing scared, which is just an exponential snowball into the abyss.
New York has just been bullied all night. I mean, they're just not getting a chance to think even, really. The pressure from the Shanghai Dragons has been so impressive. Fleta agrees. Yep, nod. That's got to be disorienting for D.Va. Oh, that's got to be really disorienting for D.Va.
Yep. This is the high-level strategy discussion for the Dragons.
Yep.
And a map that they are now very likely to win, unless New York just hits their anime power-up time and brings it back for the break, because it doesn't get much worse than this as far as circumstances define yourself.
Right. Floor over to the Ash now. It's going to be double bubble from New York because they've got the Winston and the Zyra front line. Zarya, rather. Get my games mixed up sometimes, ZP. Lee Jae Young with a kill and a feather already. Oh, boy.
The way the series has gone, this could be all the makings of a first point hold, because look at this from Shanghai. You don't see teams do this all that often where they go, we're going to head out. And okay, that's kind of why, though. That is kind of why you don't go that far out, as it turns out, because this is what can happen when you play with your food.
Yeah, and we kind of wondered if we were going to see a little bit of this from Shanghai as well. Were they going to stay solid? Were they going to just play it out clean? Or were they going to get a little bit crazy? And they got crazy, and you can definitely get punished by that sometimes. You step beyond that choke point on King's Row, you are really opening yourself up to getting wiped pretty quick.
Yeah, which, to the step there, that's why you don't see that often. Because that's... So, New York has been given a gift, Doa. We'll see if they can use that to keep the momentum heading into point B. And Fate just goes in. Nano doesn't care. Pops it over 100 HP. He's going to get away 65 HP. He gets away.
Yeah, they get
Fate knows exactly when to get out.
That was close.
Yeah.
Delicious Fate. What a baller. Yep.
Continuing to do the impossible, and that's the thing. When Yakpung does that, Yakpung dies in the first 2 seconds. But now, Graviton on deck for Kalios. Friday's already down. Yakpung uses Primal Disruption into the back. Has the Nano also, so commanding the attention of the Dragons here. Gets the bubble.
Yakpung.
He's still on the way out.
That was very far forward.
I don't mind that though.
We know Yakpung likes to go far forward, but yeah, like you can do it if you have Primal Rage. And that actually bought New York a lot of time here.
Yeah, and the one problem for them going to the next fight is that they're very reliant on a good Graviton by Kalios to set everything up. Like, Grav Bomb combo would be great, but the way the series is gone, that's where Graviton ends up getting eaten by Void, right? So, for Kalios, respect the D.Va, get something value here. This is the number one thing is Fate, Primal Rage, Bionade in the back, and he's focused, fired down. Shanghai take a dose of their own medicine. And now 6 on 5 New York, can they keep up the pressure? They're moving on forward. Lee Jae gone. Forced back a bit. Shanghai disengaging. That's a big Bionade by Jonak. Puts Void and Lee Jae gone very, very low. But Shanghai still has time to contest this payload, Doa.
Yeah, they can get back in at the last moment. There's a stick. Okay, no kills out of that one. Void with the self-destruct. Just buying time again for his team to come back. Kalios fully charged up, though. It's a lot of damage, but not when you're dead. Oh, finishes himself off with a right click. That happens sometimes. Here comes Fate again onto Jonak Fleta. Stun taken out. It's a brawl here at the end, but it's all about the seconds ticking away right now, ZP.
It is in Shanghai. I mean, they're still going to win the fight, or trying to win the fight, rather, and just about there. Lee Jae got with 2 as it gets scrappier. I don't think the Dragons are playing with the mindset of drain the time. They're playing with the mindset of win now, and they do just that.
I mean, that's a great place to stop the payload, because as the attackers, it takes a long time to get back there, and you can see, you can take these forward positions as defenders too, see what angle they're coming from very easily, and be ready for it. It's tough to push the payload these last couple feet on B on King's Row sometimes.
Yeah, it really is, and I mean, that 2 minutes, 40 seconds, it can drain away fast with how long every step takes. For New York, the game plan is simple. A good Nano to start it off. Again, early pickoff as a result. Yakpung goes super low, has the Primal, gets Primal off in time. Meanwhile, though,
yeah, waiting for Jonak to maybe use that Nano Boost. There we go. Okay, uses it now.
It's on Flora.
Thought they might need that. It's going to be the Electric Cowboy as Flora tries to come up and make a difference. Jonak down, though, as Fate gets a kill. Feather finds one on DJ Gone. And Shanghai, are they going to actually be able to hold this more?
It's looking like it. That Nano did not get much done. I think there's a little bit of disconnect there. Usually you put that on the Winston. I mean, Flora isn't the worst choice, but it's eaten.
Grab.
I might have called that one to existence, Noah. It might be my fault.
You might have. You call the last fight, but it didn't happen in the fight you talked about it happening in, but it happened on now, so that counts, I guess. I'll give you that one.
I'm just living in the future, the far, far future. That's where it goes.
ZP is like one team fight ahead of us.
But minute 40 left for New York, and that was their best opportunity to pierce through Doha. As Shanghai now, they have to watch their hubris, so this is where they got into trouble on point A, going super far forward. We'll see if they're able to manage it well this time. As Fate, he gets away with 52 HP. He just doesn't die.
Delicious Fate. Oh, Lip gets a kill on the Feather as well. The DPS being annoying. There's the D.Va swap. He's going to buy even more time. Yakpunk does do the Mario jump off of Lee Jae-gon's head there. And Shanghai's going to have to be careful. Yep.
He got Nano, but he's still really, really low. And this time
there we go.
Chased down by Friday. And yeah, again, I don't think Shanghai need to go that far forward, though. They don't have enough time to full get back onto point.
All right. New York will be able to complete B here, it looks like, but it took a long time. And, you know, I think if you're Shanghai, you're just happy about where the time bank is at right now. 217 coming into C. Point C can be very difficult. Your opponents don't have any ultimates besides the Pulse Bomb at the moment. You're feeling pretty confident if you're the Dragons right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Dragons, even though, I mean, they've given New York some gifts, they're still really far ahead. In New York, I mean, if they don't win this team fight, they're looking at, you know, looking for a draw to stay alive. It's still a lot of pressure on them, a lot of pressure on Feather to connect now. Yakpunk goes for it, has the Nano, looking for anything at the back line, stick from Feather, over and in, they take down Void. New York with an opportunity, the pop from Kalios, huge! 3 from Kalios in New York, that's exactly what they have to do, and they have to keep the momentum going. They must finish with time remaining.
Yeah, they got to keep it going. Like, they can't stop now. The payload is still moving. They've got a chance, but the thing is, you get a 3K like that, it's big, but then you also have 3 people respawning at the same time, so you have this big wave of defenders coming out instead of trickling one by one. Yeah, the sleep on the Yakpunk, but it looks like Shanghai's going to be ready to take another pretty decent defense here.
A little bit of pressure. Yeah, to your point, Shanghai back up to a full 6. New York, again, a must-win fight to avoid a draw scenario. So Primal Fate is down early. Maintain difference this time for New York. Primal Rage, Nano, everything on the Yakpunk as he puts Lip into the depth corner, bops him around. And New York, well on their way to fishing this time remaining. Yakpunk gets to sleep, but did a good job that time, Doha, as Shanghai will get to see just how long they can delay, but it's not looking like long.
Yeah, I mean, New York looking like they might be able to clean this one up. Yeah, Fate finally off the edge there. Or taken out either way, and New York's going to finish it. But unfortunately for them, much lower time bank than Shanghai, and they find themselves in a similar position to Volskaya, honestly, where they get the job done, but they just get it done so much slower that, again, they've got a long way to go if they want to win this map.
Yeah, and again, they also finished with, you know, Shanghai, I feel like, making some key errors where, you know, you think back to their point A where they went way too far aggro if they need to, and then you think to their point B, right, where it was one fight regardless of where they fought New York, and, you know, they took the fight, you know, pretty far forward. Wasn't great, but that bomb, that was great.
It's a good bomb, yeah.
Yep.
And again, you know, we see Kalios swap back to the D.Va and things start getting better, so I say just keep him on the D.Va. Like, he's clearly having more success on that hero right now. You know, he's back on the Zarya again for the second attack. You know, clearly they believe in the Zarya for this point A anyway, and I think that's understandable because your Winston's going to be jumping in. You want to be able to use the Zarya bubble to ensure that he survives and is able to build up some ult charge, so it makes sense. But I just think on a personal level, he's shown a higher skill ceiling on the D.Va so far this week.
Yeah, he has, and you know, also, speaking about tanks, it wasn't perfect by any means, but the tank line did look more controlled, just playing on the Winston rather than the wall. I think that Yakpunk on the Winston is a better look than
Justice ain't gonna dispense.
Yeah.
You know, is it gonna be enough to get even a tick on first? We'll see. But New York, if they really want to have any hope to keep the series going, they need to get point A in and go.
Drew. Jonak. All right. Anti on Fleta. Fleta needs to be careful here. He's going to get taken out. Yakpunk capitalizing with the execute there. And so it is a 6v5. New York has a chance here.
Yeah, for New York, this is where you slow it down. You have 25 seconds to go to the point. Get everyone healed up. Leverage your advantage. Kalios finds Fate. And now if New York plays as smart and controlled, they should get point A. This is an enormous edge to have, positioning-wise, building ult-wise. 2 ticks on the point. Shanghai probably going to come back here, but see how New York plays it. And no, they're going to wait until the next point. This is smart.
Yeah,
I like that for Shanghai.
Well, you know it's going to be overtime in a moment anyway, so there's no point to fight on A when you can have a good defense right at the choke and then get it in overtime. Fleta takes down Feather. That's a good start already, but the respawns are close for New York.
They are. This is where Shanghai's trying to take advantage right here now. Void, though, getting really, really low. Is he going to get devac? He has not gotten devac yet, though. Void is still healing back up. How did Void get away? But you know who didn't get away? Fate. Now the front line for Shanghai getting punished by Kalios. New York able to hold it together down 1. And wait.
Oh, that nano boost. Oh. That's one that Jonak probably wants back. I mean, clearly he thought that that was going to be necessary, and maybe Yakpung's HP was really low. I didn't actually see right when that went on there. That might have been a life-saving nano.
It did. I think it was involved in like the last 2 kills, but the fight was already so much in the fair that probably wasn't it. Unless
he probably could have saved it, but like I said, I didn't see the HP, so I'm not going to judge that one too harshly. Either way, that's some good progress on the payload from New York.
Yakpung just pressuring them in the sewer. A little bit of a change of pace here, going, you bully me, I'll bully you. I'm going to get mad in this subway. Meanwhile, though, Friday got caught.
Black is inconsolable because Friday's been taken out. Florida down as well.
Oh, and we've gone back in time. As Shanghai, they removed days of the week, and they're starting to remove New York in full for the payload. Void sets the tone with the bomb, and Fate seals the deal with the mines.
Yeah, when it's deep in overtime like that, you only need to knock people off for just a little bit. But there is a bit of pressure on Shanghai now. They know they at least need to take point A and push it that far, which can sometimes be difficult. It hasn't been difficult for Shanghai against New York at all, really, this match. But you do actually, you do have a scenario where New York is able to, get a map.
Yeah, and I think here, New York, that's about as good as you could expect for 1 minute. But this is defensible, right? If they didn't get point A, they weren't holding point A for 3 minutes, 51 seconds, barring just something absolutely unprecedented. But this is something where they can drain maybe 2 minutes on point A and then, play the time bank on point B. And, this is conceivably winnable for New York. So they've given their defense the best possible chance of extending the series.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're the Excelsior right now, I think you're going to be very happy with what you got out of that time bank. And but you got to get more. You gotta try to stop on point A, ideally. And unfortunately for them, Shanghai has just a ton of time to get things done with here on A.
Yeah. So, Shanghai ready to potentially win Kings Row, head forward in to the Summer Showdown proper.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can do that just here now. But they have to get through New York's defense here on point A. First item on the agenda.
Win to 3-0 their way into the Summer Showdown. Look, watching Izayaki take a little bit of a nap there, but Shanghai going in. All right. I like the swap onto the Sigma, actually, because the defenders are going to a lot of times be in these narrow corridors. That new, nice accretion. Yakpung down already. And look, it's Void just walking in. I love this. I love this swap from Shanghai. I think this is perfect for just taking point A fast.
This has been the story of the series, just frontline dominance again. However, if we say that, they go a little bit too deep. They didn't take time to heal up, and Feather feasts on the remains. Shanghai had such an overwhelming advantage, and yeah, they just didn't take a breather. They just kept going forward, and sometimes that can burn you.
Yeah, I mean, their level of aggression was good right up until it wasn't. That sounds kind of silly to say, but that's exactly how it plays out, right? Where they had the position where they had taken the hotel, they had taken a lot of the point, right? And they could have just fallen back to the point and just played the defensive stance from then on, but decided to keep pushing forward, and you just can't do that against New York. We saw in Ilios just how deadly they can be shorthanded, and we saw it again right now.
Nano goes on the Yakpung. Meanwhile, Fleta, eyes on the back line, rewinds, pulse bomb still up. Right now, just keeping Kalios' attention, and while that was going on, Yakpung might be expecting a shield. Kalios was looking to the back, and Yakpung dies in the front as Fleta was distracting, and that is going to be point A, dog.
I think so, yeah. Kalios falls now, and don't even need to use Pulse Bomb if you're Fleta. That's really wise, I think, to save that. And that is going to be point A with quite a bit of time left on the time bank. Remember, it was overtime when New York got the payload rolling. Shanghai with nearly 2 minutes left here.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something where you want to slow it down if possible for New York. Like, you can make this a 2-fight setup. The problem is that you want to lose that first fight quickly. You are outclassed at ultimates. You want to drain as much as possible from Shanghai here. They drop the Graviton. They get the Transcendence out. They get the Pulse Bomb out. Shanghai's spending a lot of resources for this fight, and that's about the best New York can hope for here. So they drain everything aside from the Bob and the rally. They're able to save the rally of their own. I think that's a good fight for New York, Doa, all things considered.
I agree. I think it's important, too, that you pointed out the ultimates that are available still for New York, because they're all very good ones for just stopping the payload. Bob is obviously great. Primal Rage, Rally, these are all delaying tactics, right? These are all ultimates that are going to buy time. So that was a good fight for New York. They're going to need at least a couple more, though, if they want to win this map.
Yeah, I think this is going to come down to this one final engagement that's coming up. Only 45 seconds left for Shanghai. New York, if they can even just get an early pickoff here, the ults are so similar that this is something very, very winnable now. Shanghai has to be careful. They've kind of played around a bit, but the time for playing is over if they want this to be a sweep.
Yeah, now you get serious. Here comes Bob, played down early. Yep. 2 kills for Shanghai, though.
That was a really nice engagement from Shanghai. They got rid of Floor again, who's been such a threat. Friday,
was that a nano Brigida there? Is that what I just saw?
I believe it was, yes.
I don't know if that was the intent here, because Yakpunk's got the Primal Rage. That one might have been meant for Winston instead.
The Primal's on Yakpunk. That was an observer thing, but
okay.
It's Dragons! Oh my goodness!
All right.
Is he?
All right. They're just going to win it.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. What can you say? I mean, the Shanghai Dragons, again, just bull rushing their way forward at the end of B. And New York, they just simply could not stay on the payload. They just couldn't stop it. There were still members of New York alive there, but just not in the place they needed to be.
Nope. Overall, I mean, you simplify this. Shanghai playing better on pretty much all levels, but it really came down to the presence and neutral game and, tank line versus tank line. One tank line shown and was effectively immortal for a lot of the game, and the other tank line struggles across the board. And New York might have upgraded with Kalios, but clearly, as the series shows, if they want to be the best in the Overwatch League, they still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they really do. So that is the end of the Summer Showdown for the New York Excelsior. Shanghai Dragons advance to the tournament in dominating fashion. And the funny thing is if you look at the North American region as well, you really wonder what it's going to look like, right? Because in the East region, Shanghai looking dominant as they have pretty much all year. But over in the West, over in NA, things are getting shaken up a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to the tournament now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes to tournament time, there's always surprises, though. There's always upsets. And sure, there's times where the favorite just wins, as we saw here. But, there's always enough variation that you got your good games or bad games, and it's always worth watching to the end.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's time to proclaim our player of the match. Let's see who it is. Just kidding. I already know who it is. It's going to be the flex support for the Shanghai Dragons. It is going to be Izayaki. And, honestly, ZP, I feel like it was tough to pick someone with this because Shanghai just played so well across the board. Everyone really did their jobs, but Izayaki did get a significant number of important picks this series. So I think it's well-deserved.
Yeah, Izayaki looked really good. I know personally, I think the stats probably support Izayaki here, but in terms of the overall broader matchup, I like looking at, okay, what was the head-to-head, what were the key areas that, caused the domino effect of losing, and I just feel like you still got to look at Fate and all this. Fate was just absurd the entire series, and, probably the biggest individual difference player to player that we saw. So, Izayaki on paper, but also my heart says Fate here, too. Both incredible games.
Delicious Fate. Definitely deserving of at least an honorable mention. You go back to earlier maps like Ilios, where players like Lip had big performances. Fleta was solid throughout the day. Void, of course, eating some Graviton. Surge is there. And EJ Gaunt just playing a really, really good aggressive Brigida as well. So, Shanghai, as expected, looking like a very scary team. There's the stats for Izayaki on the Zenyatta today. It was a good performance, and he's one of the better Zens out there. If you think about who the top Zens in the league are right now, obviously Jonak comes to mind. MCD is another one I really like watching. Izayaki has been right there for a long time too.
Yep, and what more can you say? The Shanghai team is incredible, top to bottom. They're versatile. You can't really shake them, and however way they come at you strong. And they're just not only one of the favorites at APAC, or the favorite at APAC, I should say, but arguably the favorite for the entire tournament coming forward. Both the one now and also the playoffs coming at you quicker than you think.
I think it's hard to disagree with that based on what we've seen so far. But we're going to take a quick break, guys. Don't go anywhere. Crunch time coming up. And after that, another match. It's going to be great. Overwatch League returns right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, everybody. Doan ZP here. It's time for Crunch Time presented by Cheez-It Grooves. And it's not often, ZP, that we get a clip that feels like literal crunch time, but crunch is exactly what happened to Yakpong right here, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. Where, as ball, you prize your mobility, but sometimes you get caught between a ball and a tracer in the hot tub room, Noah, and you can't escape. You just get crunched. And, I mean, you don't usually think a tracer's a hero that's going to come in for the body block, but, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get crunched
got
like
back
that.
on, all right. I was worried. I was worried that he wouldn't be able to get back on there. I think there was another one where he was actually in the hot tub room as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This wasn't quite the clip, but I mean, I guess there was another clip that was very similar that was also off camera. So
yeah, that's funny. We weren't even thinking of this one, but yeah, this is another instance where. And the funny thing is, this is interesting because it was another clip with the same two people from Shanghai, Lip and Fate, doing the same thing to Yakpong, where he got trapped between the wrecking ball and the tracers. So that clearly was something that Shanghai was prepared for. They knew that this was a method that Yakpong liked to do to approach the point, and they were ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, they had the Yakpong assassination plan all written up. It felt like their goal was to try to take Yakpong out before the fight began, and then when the fight began, they laser focused on floor, even to the tune of solo EMPing at points, right? So
yeah,
the Shanghai team just came in so well coached, and they knew what weaknesses to exploit on New York and what strengths to blunt, and all in all, it led to a very swift 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, too, this has been a marathon, right? I mean, playing 3 nights in a row against 3 different teams, that's, even if one of them's a Valiant, that's still, going to be a test of stamina for these players, right? So impressive stuff for them Shanghai Dragons, as always. We're not done yet tonight on the Overwatch League. Oh, no. It's going to be the Seoul Dynasty taking on the Chengdu Hunters coming up next. That should be a great series. That's it for ZP and I, though. Avril and Achilleos will guide you through that one, so enjoy. Thanks for watching. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League coming up after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch.
Alrighty, and we are back. It is time to continue the action here at the Shanghai homestand. I am Achilles, hopping on to close out the weekend alongside Avril. And unfortunately, it's something that we have to do. I don't want to do it. I don't want to see the homestand go away. It's been so gorgeous to look at all the crowd shots, to look at this arena. But all good things must come to an end, and we need to figure out who is going to be joining the Shanghai Dragons in Hawaii, in quotations. They qualify for it in a 3-0 fashion, utterly dominant against NYXL. Now it comes down to a bit of a tougher matchup to figure out, I think. It's going to be the Seoul Dynasty going up against the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, I think the yellowish-orange team wins here, no matter what. That's the good news. And I thought you were talking about earlier, you're like, oh, yeah, that's the part that I don't like to do. I'm like, what? You mean like send a team home? I'm like, that's like my favorite part right here. I'll happily be the Roman Emperor with a thumbs up and a thumbs down, like, just sitting in the crowd, just, yes, this is what we want. This is the team that's getting sent home. It will be an interesting one, though, because the history between these two teams is such that they knocked each other out in the May Melee knockouts as well, where Chengdu sent Seoul home, and Chengdu ended up being the team going to the May Melee tournament.
Yeah, and bit of a bittersweet rivalry between these two squads, and I feel like it feels like it's been a decent long time since we've seen the Seoul Dynasty. I guess because we haven't seen them at all up until this point this weekend. So it's hard to say, what level they're going to be coming in at. Recent performances, they've kind of been back on that roller coaster. There's been moments of brilliance where, Profit and Fitz are starting to pop off, but then there's also been those really low dips where they are just getting completely farmed. So seeing where they're going to be up against the Chengdu Hunters, who overall have been looking very good this weekend, it's a very tough call to try and determine who is going to be able to come out on top in this series. We kind of all anticipated that it was going to be a 3-0 in the first one, maybe a 3-1 if NYXL could have gotten a map. They got decently close on Kings Row at the end. But this, I feel like it's really hard to discern what the map score is going to be, who is going to be victorious. All I know is that if this is a 3-0 for either side, I'm going to be very surprised. I'm expecting this series to get down and dirty, maybe even a 5-map series coming through. Seoul probably want to avoid that, given the Chengdu Hunters did very recently, reverse sweep somebody, bested the Philly Fusion in that map 5. But I don't know. I'm hoping that this one goes the distance.
If that's the case, then Seoul got to watch out for going 2-0 up, because that's when Chengdu apparently get activated.
They're the most dangerous.
But like you said, Seoul have been struggling so far in the past week of competition. They started out this stage pretty strong, I would say. You look at the tournament cycle. They actually beat the Chengdu Hunters in week 1 of the tournament cycle. 3-1 was the result of that one. 3-0 was the Hangzhou Spark, who ended up being very good. But as teams start to progress through and improve and figure out what the new meta was going to be, figure out what was good and what they're supposed to be playing, Seoul slowly but surely start to fall off. First of all, versus Shanghai, which is probably a bit more expected. Shanghai dominant here. They just qualified through to the Summer Showdown, so no surprises there at all. Yeah. Then they had to do their own reverse sweep. So you talk about the Chengdu reverse sweeps. Seoul have done one already so far this tournament cycle. They got one versus the Guangzhou Charge, but the fact that they went 0-2 down early was maybe a bit of concern for Seoul as a team that you would expect to have had a bit more of a comfortable win versus Charge. So based on that, it hasn't been smooth sailing in their second week, despite being at a 3-1 scoreline. Now, they could still be going into their first ever tournament showing in the Summer Showdown, but they got to get past Chengdu, who, like I sort of noted, this weekend at the Shanghai homestand have been in top form.
Yeah, it's been great to see. Obviously, lesser opponent just yesterday comparatively, but getting the reverse sweep against the Fusion was really the thing that kind of sealed the deal on the Chengdu Hunters being a solid team right now in this moment, being one that you have to be concerned about going up against, because there's also, a lot of depth to this roster. They showed this weekend that they're willing to kind of flex people around. Obviously, we saw them just kind of wholesale changing out their support lineup for that final map versus the Valiant just yesterday, bringing in Faraway, bringing in Yveltal as well. So what are they going to do today? Do they continue to try and shake things up and throw a bit of a curveball at the Seoul Dynasty, or do they just go back to the stock standard?
And we saw a little bit of Gaga there. I think Gaga was the main player that was kind of missing. Among's had a lot of playtime so far this weekend. It's been the one consistent factor for Chengdu that we can absolutely rely on, that will probably be playing the entire way, whether it's 3 maps or 5 maps or 4 or whatever. Leave and Jinmu will be here pretty much the entire time. Leave in any meta is like the player for Chengdu right now. He is the face of the team. He is the player on the team, which on the opposite side for Seoul is Profit. And so you have Profit and Fitz, the Profits duo, who has been that as well. So it's going to be leave Jimmu versus Profits. Should be no surprises there. Seeing what Seoul want to do in the main tank position as well. Does Gesture come back at all, or is Marvel going to be still their starting main tank as he has been for all the previous matches so far in this tournament cycle? That's going to be a question that needs to be answered. Then also beyond that, what composition does Seoul really want to play? Because part of the weakness for them last week that I noted was that they weren't particularly, in towards where APAC had started to move to, which is the Ball Sombra composition. They weren't really doing that until the end, where Fitz started to maybe get on a bit of Sombra, but they didn't seem like they were prepared to do it. They were almost forced to. And they were kind of doing Brawl, but then also not really, and abandoning that and going back towards Winston Dive. So Seoul was in a bit of a limbo in terms of kind of deciding and figuring out what was good when other teams had kind of figured it out before them. Now that they've had a bit more time to get things sorted out behind the scenes in terms of what comps they actually want to go for, I think they'll be able to come in much stronger today, and we'll see if Marble wants to come out of the ball as well, because that both Aimang and Gaga will definitely do that.
Yeah, and that's one of the big question marks here, is because they have had that little bit of extra time to try to stabilize, improve the roster, figure out what has been going wrong and correct those mistakes. That really makes this series a big question mark for, who's going to be able to come out on top, who is going to be a top performer. But guys, we have a LAN event. The players getting up on stage. I'm going to settle with you right now. Let me tell you an industry secret. I'm going to get up close with you guys. We don't control when the match starts. So unfortunately, we're going to go to a quick little break. But when we come back, we're going to jump into the action. So just stay tuned. Bear with us. We'll be right back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.